message is loud and clear. Let him hit. Let him stab. Let him take out the subway car.
I'm not going that far, but the threats and stuff. No one's going to do anything. And like I said, I made the point earlier off my clip, but it's not just affecting Good Samaritans; it's also affecting police officers.
Sure.
They don't want to do their job anymore. My dad's a police officer. He needs to keep doing he's old, and he's not eligible for retirement yet.
Right.
But if he was young, he wouldn't be doing that anymore.
I can imagine.
He wouldn't be doing. And he loves his job.
Yeah.
And he hates that he can't do it.
Yep. No, that makes complete sense. Also, it affects the citizens because half of them want to leave. That's not half think the policies are bad. Half of them want to leave, but they can't because they're effectively hostage on an island. And I get it. We're talking about the boroughs too.
I thought it was because the East River was made of lava.
Yeah.
They're afraid to process.
Mr. Firestein, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah. Doge to the moon. Not you, Doge to the moon. Question for all. Do you think we'll see a repeat of 2020 where states either continue their COVID election laws, ballot drop boxes, no voter ID signature verification, etc., to allow illegals to participate, or do they just outright change their laws to allow them to vote?
Thank you for service, Judge. I think. Well, they don't really need change. They have already been changed. It's kind of incumbent upon.
That was a permanent change.
Yeah, Americans.
That was a purpose permanent change.
Yes, it was a purposeful permanent change. But things like voter ID. Look, if they oppose voter ID, of course they're not going to allow some kind of a registration for mail-in voting. We've always had. By the way, we've had absentee voting. I've done it. I'm sure a lot of comedians have done it because you're on the road. What you have to do is request it, you fill it out, and you can vote absentee. They changed it to the point where every single person simply gets one in the mail. You combine that without voter ID. You combine that without any verification that the right... Combine it with squatters. I just got totally distracted. The CNN commercial is absolutely nuts. There's a troll. Yeah, look at that. That scared the shit out of me. They have a giant screen, and I just looked over, and it was a close-up of this monster. I thought, well, SC Cup's looking rough.
I think that's Guzzlord.
It's Guzzlord.
I'm pretty sure that was Guzzlord.
So you combine it with squatters' rights. Hey, we sent a ballot to this house, right? There's no voter ID. Who's in the house? Well, some guy who broke the law but is being protected by the law. Here's your vote.
I was sent 2 ballots. My wife and I both were sent 2 ballots in Tacoma.
I still don't know if I voted in Michigan because it was sent to a former house. It was sent to a former house. And it just said processing, which was the exact same status of people who I know did vote. Now, I'm not saying that someone voted at my old residence, but I have no way of knowing, no way of verifying. There's no way to verify. That's the issue. We talked about Nevada, right? Clark County, we called the registrar when they changed the voters' rules against their own laws.
That's when my dad's an officer. He said that in his apartment complex, he was in an apartment complex at the time. He said he saw a bag by the mailboxes. Mm-hmm. There was a bag of just blank ballots. I mean, they had names on it for people, but they weren't put in the mailbox. They were just sitting there. Right. And he had to go. He was like, God damn! He had to go grab the bag. He had to take it in to work, and they didn't know what to do with it. Well, we gave it to somebody else, and they're gone.
We sought out some of these, and these were not the people at the addresses. Some of them were just empty lots. And when we spoke with the registrar at Clark County, he said, well, even if all of that is true, he said, there's nothing you can do now. The election is done.
Yeah. So that's
how do you stop it? Yeah. How do you stop it? Well, we didn't check to see if it was a valid address.
Well, you can't do anything before the election.
Right.
No. You have a 2-hour window.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, I can't during that 2-hour window because they were putting Bristol boards up on the voting precinct. Well, you know what? Look, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's not how the cookie is supposed to crumble. Let's grab another check.
From Dazzler the Brit, question for the crew. With victory speeches being read out in Somali in the United States and Britain capitulating, thank you, to Islam in Parliament, is there any way this is a coordinated attempt to replace all white people with foreigners?
It says isn't a coordinated attempt, sorry. It's kind of a weird sentence structure there. Yeah, of course it is. Now, people will try and make it about race, and I appreciate that you talked about foreigners, because foreigner means people who are foreign to the land. And I would apply to that people who are foreign to the laws, people who are foreign to the principles, people who are foreign to the culture. Yeah. It's not white, black, yellow, red. It's none of that.
I saw an Islamic woman in an interview yesterday on X. She has the garb on, and she has the messed up teeth. Obviously not. She's an immigrant, okay? And she has like a Middle Eastern / British accent. And she was talking about how she is Muslim and she loves her religion, but it sucks that Great Britain no longer has a culture. Right. It no longer has an identity as being Great Britain. Mm-hmm. Yep. And she liked that. Yep. That's one of the reasons she wanted to go there. She likes her religion, she likes her culture, but she liked British culture. She liked the way they live and the place for her to go, better than Germany or France.
That's what she was seeking out, most likely. And then she got there. It's like, are we there yet? Only there is no there yet.
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself why. In other words, when they say, oh, the great replacement theory, that's just racism. Okay, you have to ask yourself, over 7.5 million that we know of, undocumented criminals who've come over the border, and nothing is being done about it. Why? Why? There have been proposals to do something about it. A wall. No, we won't do that. Why? Texas says we're going to step in and just block people from coming over. No. Why? Now that they're over here in our state, we're going to arrest them and send them back, which is actually, by the way, in line with what has always been our policy. No. Why? Why would they want millions, obviously tens of millions of people coming here illegally? Why would they not want to enforce border laws?
Well, they'll tell you now. They'll tell you now that they do want to, and they tried to with a bipartisan bill that was so good.
Hi, Jared.
Yes.
It was so good.
Yes, the border bill where
the Republicans voted. Yeah, and Donald Trump told Republican Congress members not to vote for it. So that's why we really do care about it.
Yeah, it was $60 billion for Ukraine. I believe what was it? $10 billion for the wall. $10 billion for immigration issues.
It was 20. It was 20.
There was no wall included.
There was no wall included. That's right. And then when it didn't happen, they just basically created another bill that was just the Ukrainian bill. Because
And the
well,
money
this
was-
is really what we wanted anyway. So mask off.
And the money was basically just going to hire more people to process
Yeah.
and document. Which they didn't even document it. Sure, that's a start. But I mean, like, come on, that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Just call
Dirty.
it the Raytheon and Boeing bill. Call it that. Because they're lining their pockets. Let's grab another chat.
From, I don't know how to say this name, Villeneuve. Question for the crew. Do you think Trump should continue to post only on Truth Social instead of other mainstream platforms?
Good question. I appreciate that he's sticking to his guns. I do appreciate, and the truth is he doesn't really need because it gets disseminated on X and
Yeah,
else.
I'm gonna say, like, he makes a lot of. I don't know if he's making money from Truth, but every news outlet, every liberal news outlet, will share his tweets. Trump tweeted or Trump posted on Truth Social.
Yeah, it's free advertising.
Trump on Truth Social. Every time he says something crazy, Truth Social. Trump on Truth Social.
Right. You're like, he posted, where'd I post? Say it. Say it. Truth Social.
It all looks the same except it's pink.
That's right. Daddy posted Truth Social.
Well, he posted once back on X when he got the mugshot. I think it was really effective.
Yeah.
So if he targets when he's posting and for what reason, I think he's still.
Oh, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He did it once. He was going, Truth Social, truth, 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 X, back to truth, 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 truth. I'm like, wait, what happened to X? You'll have to ask Truth Social.
It's like when we tell people to get off YouTube and go to Rumble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
I get it, and you know what? At that point, at least he knows that he won't be removed. I think he probably can be pretty confident in X with that right now. As far as what he should do, I don't want to tell him what he should. If it's working for him, it obviously seems to be working for him. You know, I would stick with it. I would stick with it, and then maybe if he needs some heavy artillery, kind of right in the election season, then you just go with a blitz. That might be something that I would look into. I'd look at the data that they have available to him. I'm sure he has very good people reviewing that. And I would hold it back. I would hold it back in reserve. He doesn't need it now. Not saying he will need it, not saying it's the best play, but I would analyze if this play would amplify me, and I would hold it back until the election season. Oh, wait, they've got an October surprise? Boom. Now you bring in the Moab. That would be my thought.
Yeah.
From Bama Girl in Texas.
Hey, now.
Have you been following all the hype over the upcoming total eclipse? Apparently National Guard is being scheduled to deploy in many towns that is passing over DFW in Austin. Should we be worried something is being planned? Josh, you think first?
Hey, you know what? Take the National Guard that you're deploying for the eclipse and put them on the border.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe that's what they're doing.
I hope.
They just pick a different reason.
Is it just me, or do I feel like whenever there's a solar or a lunar eclipse, they always say, like, this only happens once every 56 years? I'm like, God, I feel we have one all the time.
Like twice a year.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like 22 or 24 is the next one.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's
years.
still more than like every 26 or 55 years. Remember when Donald Trump, there was that eclipse and he was looking right at the sun? You have that video? And you know it's just because someone told him don't look at the sun. He's like, I can look at it, maybe you can't, but I can hold my UV rays.
I don't need glasses.
I can UV ray you under the table, pussy.
We got it.
Will we have it?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
You gotta get these stupid ads. I don't
Oh
know
my
what it is.
gosh! Yeah, this is when we don't have the preset overlays. Just so you know, we have to pull it up in a browser, and it's just a bunch of ads because that's everywhere now. An ad. And we have you to thank that we don't have to do that, Mug Club. All right, we got it. Let's watch it.
Don't look.
Someone, he's not going to put the
I'm
glasses
not gonna
on.
wear the glasses.
All right, fine.
Look, put some on.
Like, I guess that was kind of bright.
So that's the moon. Still kind of bright.
Does he look back? I think he does. Doesn't he do it one more time?
He wants to.
We have to. Eat your heart out, Icarus.
It's like a child. I love it.
I don't even need the wings. You can never get me too close to the sun. Wouldn't melt. Can't melt. Caps. All right. It's funny. It's just like he has. Like, now I have to kill all of you.
I don't think I can do it.
You don't think I can do it? Watch me. I may regret it. All right, let's grab another chat.
From Texas Sheepdog 73. Not trying to sound crazy, but being a fellow Texan, I am concerned about the invasion of millions of, quote, visitors, let me say illegals, it's okay, for the coming eclipse. I believe this will be the opportunity for either our government or others to cause a new epidemic or catastrophic event to lock us down and bypass the coming election. What are your thoughts?
How long is the eclipse supposed to last? This one?
Like a couple, they're always a couple minutes. 2 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
Total. It's called what's it called? Total eclipse, I guess, or total subversion. Total eclipse is supposed to be. So, I mean, it does. It's a slow thing. It's gonna be dark for most of the day.
4 minutes, 28 seconds.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So how is that going to be? Like, that's going to be the purge? Is there something I'm missing? Like, I get that the government is.
Yeah. What do you guys?
I don't understand. I
It
don't
could be
understand.
really dark.
For 4 minutes and 28 seconds.
No, I got a $3.49 pepperoni
Reset your sundials. I think it's gonna be
mozzarella
I think it'll
stuffer.
be fine.
I mean, night comes every day.
Yeah. Yeah. True. I mean, I get it.
The more you know. I thought you were gonna hit the more you know.
A lot of these.
Morning.
Night comes every day.
A lot of these drug dealers are lazy, so they probably don't want to get up in the middle of the night. So maybe they're like, this is a perfect
We have
confluence.
4.5 minutes.
Yeah, 4.5 minutes. Like, or
This fucking
you could
line
just
of
do whatever
vehicles
you
here.
want if you live in New York and San Francisco anyway.
It's not Y2K, you know?
Yeah.
Computers aren't going offline.
You know what else wasn't Y2K?
Oh,
Y2K. No, actually, to be fair, Y2K didn't happen because it was a lot of work behind the scenes.
There was a lot of worry, yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of work, and then some people did actually have to do some work to reset something, but it never would have been as bad as they claimed. But I remember waking up, because I was pretty young, I woke up and I was like, is everything done? Is the world over? They're like, no. Or there was one story like, one train crashed, and they said, yeah, it had nothing to do with Y2K though.
I will say this: if you're in the DFW or Austin area, there's 4.5 minutes where vampires will bull rain.
Yes,
They're going to come
that
out
is
from
true.
under that bridge.
They're going to turn themselves into daywalkers. They're going to be around, so watch out. Keep some garlic on you. Keep a cross. Maybe some silver bullets, a wooden stake.
Yeah, and get good at your grappling, because as long as you can hold on to them for, I'm assuming.
I wouldn't hold on to them. That's they like that.
No, but what I'm saying is,
They want to be close.
If they have you at that point, take one for the team, for the rest of us. So it's going to take them at least some time to travel to get to you. So 4 minutes and 28 seconds, let's average this out. At least 1 minute for them to get from their cave or coffin to you, and that's being very conservative. So now they're left with 3 minutes. Okay, how long before they can get right up to your neck? Because at this point, you're going to be very aware that they're a vampire, right? They're not going to go through the whole seduction act, the dance, of romance, because they only have 4 minutes. Well, now down to 3 minutes and 28 seconds. So really, they're going to let's add another 45 seconds. So now you're really down to under a minute and 45 seconds left. Let's call it a minute and a half. If they're biting into your neck and it takes a while for them to get the blood, right? And from what I've seen, it takes like a good 20 or 30 seconds close-up shot, usually a Dutch angle.
Like 5 people, 4 people.
Yeah, just hold on to them because the sun's coming back.
One, yeah.
And then and we don't have to worry about them at least for the next eclipse.
Well, don't you vaporize too if you get bit?
I don't think you're at that point yet.
Depends on how
Not
long
yet.
it
It
takes.
No, it takes a
while
couple
to
days.
take effect.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
It's like a delayed release.
You start to feel, I'm hot. Why am I so hot in the sun?
I think you also have to feed too.
What? Why can't I eat pizza?
Garlic.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look in the mirror and you don't see a reflection, just walk out into the sun, because at that point, you've lost yourself, man.
You mean I can't see myself?
I can't see
Shit.
myself. Shit.
I hope it's on a Tuesday so we can call it Nosferatu Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I mean, the thing is, like, if there were an actual epidemic of vampires, from what I understand, you could just lock your doors. Like, you could just go somewhere that
Because they can't be, you have to be invited, right?
Invited, yeah.
Yeah, well, not only that, but just like they don't have crazy superhuman strength.
I think that's big blood lying to you.
Is it?
I don't think they have to. I don't think you have to invite them. I think they can just come in. It's like the United States. You can just walk right in.
That's also the name of one of the gangs coming in. Latino vampires. Which almost seems like it would be a tip-off that we should be paying attention to. I don't know. Let's grab another chat.
All right, from Chet Force F22, question for the crew. How far downhill does NYC and New York State have to fall before people retaliate against the government? The state as a whole has become anti-citizen.
Oh, they'll never. New York is a perfect example where we've talked about sort of placating a people. 50% of the people of that city want to leave, but they will still vote for the same shit. They're not going to be fighting back. They're talking about people who've learned to entirely rely on the government for their way of life and have never owned a firearm. Many of them have never actually owned a car. I mean, not all of them, but a significant portion of them. They are happy to have Big Brother in charge. There are too many New Yorkers, and the people who are left there now, those people have kind of accepted their fate. It's not like Texas. It's not like Oklahoma. I mean, it's not like Wyoming. No, those people are never, ever going to revolt. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. I have very little respect for the people who vote for what they get in New York, or honestly, at this point, even stay in that city. The only solution is to leave, so the city has to change its boundaries. It needs to sting so badly that New York needs to look themselves in their reflectionless mirror at that point and accept the ruin that their life has become because of their policies. That's what has to happen. Leave. Leave New York. It is beyond saving. Leave. The people will never revolt. You will be out there alone if you try. Huge difference. It's the mindset of New Yorkers. Think about this. You can go your entire life. I know people who've gone their entire life in New York, and they're one of the few, they legitimately don't have a driver's license. One time when I was living in New York, and they believe that this is somehow better. I was, Fox News was down there on Avenue of the Americas, 46th and 6th.
Yeah, I think
something like that, 46th and 6th.
46, 47.
And I was subletting in the Upper East Side. This went to 77th and 2nd. And I remember trying to, there's only the Green Line. And because of some Fox News contributors, they no longer sent cars out. They would send cars if you were a guest and not a contributor. Yeah. But if you were a paid Fox News contributor, because those who shall not be named took their cars to go to Barney's and the Diamond District. So they're like, you can't have basic transportation anymore. But if to get down and do a hit on Fox News, and I remember 3 subways going by because they were full. And if they're full, they just don't stop. So vroom, vroom, full. So I go out, 20 plus minutes, could not get a cab. So I was walking down to from 77th down to, I believe, 46th. 77th and 2nd, down to 46th and 6th. I made the entire walk without a single cab. There was no way for me to get there. People go, whoa, New York, isn't it convenient? You could just get on a subway and get anywhere. Or, if I was in the state of Texas, get in my car, and there's no guessing game that I will be there in 4 minutes. They think it's more convenient because it's all they know. It's all they know. Oh, I don't have to pay. At least I don't have to pay for car insurance. No, but you have to pay for a subway card, and you're entirely dependent on the government. You've seen what happens in New York when a natural disaster strikes, right? It's not like a lot of people can't get away. It's the biggest city in the country, and you have food shortages, and people cannot get out.
They love that part of it though, because it brings the community together.
Right.
It's a prison.
Because they have to.
Right.
Because you have to be brought together with that neighbor you hate.
Right.
That screams in the middle of the night.
When I lived there was one point where I was looking at living on Roosevelt Island. People are like, why would you do that? You're young and you're single. I'm like, because at least it's quiet. At least I'm not. I hate
like old people live there.
Well, Roosevelt Island is where the tram goes. It's on the Spider-Man film. It's like that one island. There used to be an insane asylum. It's luxury apartments now. Oh. But there's nothing. There's nothing else there. There's like 4 restaurants. And people are like, well, you don't get the benefit. It's basically like you're not living in New York City. I'm like, yes, that's the point. And instead, I opted to just leave. Boy, did I hate it. And people were trying
grilled
to say,
cheese?
Oh, no, man, you have to take advantage.
You make grilled cheeses at night?
I tried. I went to the museums. Okay, I've done that. I went to a bunch
Not
of
a
nice
Shane Gillis
restaurants.
fan, you don't get it.
There's a lack of nice restaurants in places like
He makes them at night.
Yeah, crying out loud, everywhere.
Park in front.
You can park. Yeah. I was like, I'm done, and that's where it became like a drug for me. I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for. At this point, I said I have time because I had to write like a couple columns a week. I had to appear a few times a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'd send me on location, so I'd do these packages. But if I was there, I had a lot of time. So all the free time that I had, and all the free money that I had at that point in time, was going into jiu-jitsu, like private jiu-jitsu lessons, because you have all of these great schools there.
They give you like a week trial at each school, something like that. Yeah.
So I went down and did a week trial everywhere.
It's a good move.
And then I ended up actually getting a private coach who would coach a lot of the guys who were the high-level guys who were often coaches, but they were competitors. This guy was their coach. And he would just sort of go to different schools. Like, it was in the back of an awful McDojo karate school, and this guy was a world-level black belt. And we became friends. And I was like, look, I'll just pay for private lessons. I was doing it twice a day.
Nephew's probably loving it.
And I turned my joints into a fine powder, but it's just, I was in a city.
I could live on grilled cheeses when I was a kid. Hell, I can do it now.
Industry that I couldn't stand. And I just said,
Except for now, I gotta have bacon on mine too.
It's Fox News. And it's not their fault, but it just wasn't for me, and I was miserable. Everyone just thought I was crazy. I was like, how can you stand this city? This is when it was much better, by the way. I wasn't dealing with crime. I was just going, everything is inconvenient. I have no independence whatsoever. If I want to go to the airport, I have to hide my carry-on because the cabs don't want to miss that fare during rush hour. It's just insane. And I was like, I am reliant.
And it's like 40, 50-minute drive.
I know.
City.
I know. God, I couldn't stand it. So, anyway, no, the people won't revolt. Let's grab a couple more chats.
All right, from AJ92, question for you, Stephen. If the left wants to allow all of this crime and illegals to destroy the country as we know it, then how does the left expect to run or control the new unruly country?
Oh, well, they can always change the laws whenever they want.
That's the point. That's the whole plan, right?
Yeah. They can change it whenever they want, and guess what? The people are far easier to subdue and put under your thumb if you're the one who gave them a bunch of free shit. It's sort of like, you ever had, I know someone like this, and there are a lot of people out there in this situation. For example, you may have a completely neglectful, let's say, mother or father, and 2 children. And one obviously has a huge problem with it, and it shaped their life, and they decided that they didn't want to be like that. And the other, oh man, mom is great. She's never there. I can do whatever I want. And so they're having house parties or drinking, they're running with gangs. 2 people under the same kind of a parent. Now, this is a bad parent, but one cannot understand why the other is furious and feels abandoned because they wanted a parent. And so that's what happens a lot. 2 people experiencing the exact same thing with wildly different viewpoints. The illegal immigrants are that kid. What? You want mom to come back? I'm selling weed out the back door while she's gone. Right? I have a bunch of free shit. I came in, didn't have to sign the guest book. Right now, I'm benefiting from the system. I don't have to pay taxes, but I can walk into any emergency room, give them a fake name. They have to treat me, walk out. Healthcare in the United States is free. Someone else is saying, yeah, because I want a country. I want a country. That's what happens. And then those people are very, very glad to continue voting for those folks who provide them that kind of a lifestyle, even though it's neglectful, even though it's unconstitutional, even though it's wrong. And then if they become too unruly, well, then the government can decide, the Democrats can say, okay, free ride is over, now we're going to rein you in a little bit, and it'll just be a vicious cycle. They can modify it however they want. Right now we're in a phase where they are modifying the laws, or simply, I should say, destroying laws that favor them with a giant new voting base. The good news is that a lot of the people now, even coming in illegally, they end up, after about 10 years, becoming more conservative because they wake up.
Oh, since they don't know American culture.
Right.
I mean, it's like, that's the reason we don't vote till you're 18. You gotta see some of this first.
Yeah.
You gotta learn about it first.
Right.
You probably, yeah. I mean, maybe even older. I say you can't vote till you're 70. That's what I say.
Yes.
Oh, no, this guy isn't turning conservative.
No,
that guy's not even gonna live.
No.
Hopefully not.
Clearly he has leukemia.
Just think of that guy, right? So that's a he looks like the Hispanic version of the guy who steals luggage.
Wasn't that
I forgot his name.
Wasn't that President Biden's
what was his job? He wasn't
Nuclear
homosexual.
Yeah.
So think of the different points of contact where they could have caught that guy. Okay, border? No, he's there. There's Venezuelan criminal migrants. Okay, crime, right? Assault? No. This guy's talking about invading and taking over the United States. Okay, squatting in an empty house, taking over someone else's property? No. There's like 3 or 4 different times where you could have arrested that piece of shit and sent his ass back. That tells you that it's not an accident. They don't want to send them back. How many errors have to be made where you say, okay,
Kava, what'd you think of it?
We have over 25% of our prisons are filled
27
with undocumented migrants. Is it 27, I believe?
It was 27, yeah.
How have you screwed up to the point where MS-13, a gang, these people are inhabiting our prisons? Like, they came here illegally. You didn't enforce that. I guarantee you this wasn't the first crime that they committed. And then at that point, the taxpayer still foots the bill. What does it take to say, well, hold on a second, you have to go back? Why? Well, on account that you're not supposed to be here and you keep killing our citizens.
Here's what we do. We threaten them. We tell them we're going to send them to Haiti.
Yes.
Tell them the people are hungry there.
To be ground into
They're
a pile
eating
of
dirt cakes.
Yes.
They need flesh.
Yes. Well, you just grind him in, you make the dirt go farther. You grind him in.
They're so dumb. They probably just bring these. They go, oh yeah, now you guys are dirt farmers.
Yes.
We're not going to eat you if you want to. We're going to make you dirt farmers.
Make them dirt farming slaves.
Haitian
Yeah, these dirt farmers slaves.
enslaving MS-13.
Yeah, they're just walking through with plows for no reason. And
Hey,
What an image.
let's talking more dirt farming. Si, senor.
they're so confused. Venezuela was so much better.
That guy's name was Sam Britton.
Sam Brett, yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Matt Damon.
Oh, that was the Biden's secretary of something.
At what point did you say no? You're by the way, you think about that? Was it Jack and the Beanstalk? I'll grind your bones to make my
That's cool.
bread. First off,
Giant.
anyone make bread out of bones?
I don't know if I've ever used it
Is
or
it
at all.
It's like a protein bread.
with bones?
Calcium.
It's like an Oro wheat.
They just skimmed past it, is my point. They turned it into a limerick, and no one goes, wait a second, what, you're making bone bread?
That's Dave's killer bread.
Yes.
I've been wondering what the secret is to that thick bread.
I want to see that interrogation. All right, Dave, how do you make your kilo of bread?
Don't show them the grinders.
Secret ingredient? What? What was that? Bones.
I don't recall
Saying it like a psycho. I need more bones.
Ezekiel bread is just some poor sap named Ezekiel.
I don't get that one.
How many Ezekiels are there?
Well, that's why. That's why it's very expensive.
Oh, is that type of bread Ezekiel bread?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the.
I don't even want to know what Jewish rice is. But I bet it's kosher.
All right, let's grab one more chat for the day, and then we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, from T. Diddy. Question for the crew. If squatters don't have to pay rent, then why should law-abiding citizens have to pay property tax or any other tax? Josh, thank you for yourselves.
Thank you for your service. See, that's exactly what I'm saying. I feel like you're at the entry point of the segment.
Yeah. It started late.
Yeah.
It started late today.
That's
Just tuned in.
That's exactly what we're saying. And think of the difference of the consequence. Consequences. I'm squatting. Okay, what does that mean? Let's define it. Means it's not your house, right? Means that you didn't pay for it, right? Means you don't own it, right? Means you don't pay now. Okay, correct. Now, you own it, yes. So you did purchase it, yes. Probably had to go through the process, a lender, okay? You are making the payments right now, yes. Likely a mortgage and probably property taxes, yes. You have to continue making those payments to support the aforementioned squatter. Well, hold on a second. That doesn't seem fair. If I don't do that, if I do exactly what the squatter is doing, what happens to me? People with guns come and take you away forever. What kind of a country do you want to be? Ask yourself that. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. Love you, Muck.
Wow. I'm doing fucking 76 in a 60. I got people passing me on the right. Why won't my phone work?
like it, right? Nice little vibe to start the morning off. I love it. All right, so this is a big deal, right? The left is freaked out over this. I've got a bunch of clips queued up. Joe Biden is actually in Arizona, and he is now over going to Houston, and they're hitting the panic button. Okay, so he was in California, he came to Arizona, and I got some clips on that because they're like, yeah, nice token gesture. We know what you're doing here, Joe, right? The Latinos are not idiots like they think they are. They try to treat everybody like trading cards, like they just, can just promise them something like a token gesture, and then they'll just turn up for them every time. But so he showed up here. He was in Arizona yesterday. He was at the Fairmont. Oh, that's a nice place. Yeah, Fairmont's beautiful. He went out to Intel. Apparently, he's giving them a bunch of money. It's like crazy. Like Intel's getting like $20 billion, I think, from the infrastructure bill or whatever, and they're trying to really rapidly create some chip capacity here in the United States. And it's actually pretty cool what's going on in Arizona.
There's no power and there's no water there.
Building all these
where they're trying to build it
in near Anthem, Arizona, and then this chip factory is down in Chandler, in Arizona. So Arizona's going to become a little bit of a chip hub, like a national defense, infrastructure. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about what's going on in the world. Like in other words, the Taiwan parallel is probably going to be here in Arizona. So keep that in mind. We've also got, which is good for Arizona. I think it brings a lot of business and a lot of stuff here. But here we also have today.
Wait, JC,
Joe Biden, it's Thursday. He was in Dallas. He's departing Dallas. He's going to Houston. He's participating in a campaign reception, and then he arrives back at the White House at 6 o'clock tonight. But when he was in Arizona, he was not getting a lot of love. I mean, this was kind of the reaction here. Again, he's trying to close the gap on this Hispanic gap that they have. And here was what this woman said. She's from Libre Initiative. She's the strategic director. She was over on Fox, and Biden is now launching this Latinos con Biden and Harris. Now, that's interesting. And just think about the language on this, right? So, you speak a little Spanish, right? Latinos con Biden Harris. That's Latinos with Biden and Harris, which is a little bit different than Trump. And it's interesting from an English perspective because con is a negative, right? In Spanish, it means with, but it's generally a negative, like pros and cons. So Latinos con Biden Harris has a negative connotation even just looking at it, right? Like Latinos almost kind of has a feel like Latinos against Biden Harris. Like Latinos, the bad is Biden and Harris. The con is the Biden and Harris. So Trump's, I think, is much better, right? Latinos for Trump. Like Latinos for Trump, not Latinos with Biden Harris. So even on just looking at it, it is a little bit bad. Now, of course, the messaging is going to Latinos who presumably speak Spanish and wouldn't have that same connotation in English that we would have. But still, a lot of English people will see it too, and they'll see Latinos con Biden Harris. I mean, against, does that mean like they're bad? So it's just not good because they're not good.
Unfortunately, I think Biden coming to Arizona is just a band-aid on a great big open wound. And despite what President Biden might want us to believe, the Latino community in Arizona is really hurting due to inflation. Unfortunately,
yeah, inflation hits everybody, right? It's a colorblind thing, and we all have to suffer from it, right? So you can't promise that Latinos are going to be exempt from inflation, right? It hits us all. So that was a comment there, and this is being backed up. This is a red alert, right? So this was on MSNBC. Biden campaign launches push for Latino voters. They're freaked, saying Biden is pushing westward with a new program to mobilize Latino voters in key swing states, which is why he was here. And former Republican representative of Florida joins on MSNBC to discuss this, says, this is a red alert. It's time for us to get serious here.
We endorsed the president 2 weeks ago in Vegas with the vice president. And part of it is because what we're seeing is we cannot have another Trump presidency, because it was one thing what he said, but more importantly, what he did. And it was, yes, the separation of children at the border from their families and putting babies in cages, but it was also also using social media to incite real violence. Jonathan, we can't forget that his words had offline effects with the El Paso massacre, where over 23 people were injured and killed simply because they were Latino. We can remind people of the Tree of Life synagogue affair, where also the Jewish community was impacted, and all the victims in between Pittsburgh and El Paso. And so for us, this is a red alert. It's time for us to get serious about the Latino vote, recognizing that he was in Arizona because he won that state and it flipped by less than 12,000 votes.
He didn't win it.
But it's also in Nevada, it's also North Carolina, it's also Pennsylvania.
Well, it's everywhere. Did you hear all the other states? So that's why he was here. He's like, hey, by the way, Trump's responsible for your current dire decisions, your current life situation. And there was just a lot on this. Let me see here. I pulled so much stuff up here. Here was another clip. Hispanic voters overwhelmingly, this was CNN, right, from basically the same time frame. Hispanic voters overwhelmingly trust President Trump on the border, security, and immigration by a tremendous margin, right? We all have to live in the same society, right? A broken and illegal immigration problem is bad for all of us, regardless of color.
You might think, that Hispanic voters might be the types of folks who would have a backlash against Donald Trump's remarks, right? Ain't the case. If you ask Hispanic voters, who do they trust more on border security and immigration? Overwhelmingly, they trust Donald Trump more by a tremendous margin. Look at that, 49% to 24%. And that is in line with what we're seeing in the polls in general amongst Hispanics, right? Joe Biden won them overwhelmingly back in 2020.
Yeah, she said she's going to do it more often.
We'll
see. She's so fucking busy, though.
Polling right now, average polling amongst Hispanic voters. Who do they choose in the ballot test? It's barely Biden by about 2 points. It would be the smallest margin for any Democratic candidate among Hispanic voters, basically throughout history since we started polling the gosh darn thing. So the fact that at this point there's no back and at this point I don't see one coming. You might think,
yeah, that's rough, right? And that's good, right? This is kind of the point. It's like, you can only promise everybody so much before they realize that your entire campaign, your entire agenda.
Yeah, what a nice guy.
Country is just fake. It's just false, right? Because you can't. Competent governance unites everybody. You have a nice currency, safe cities, clean air, clean environment.
Well,
people living in
this economy, that's what you got to do.
It's good for everybody. But if, they then go and they try to cobble out these little deliverables to each group. And they say, you're being victimized. Here's how we can help solve that victimization. So we are being victimized? How? Well, white people. Wait, what? But then they realize the real victimization is through their dollar not having any value. They're not even able to fill their refrigerators and so on. So now it's coming back to Biden. We're going to see what it looks like. Now, the incompetency just continues. This is Bill Malugin. He reported this. You may have seen this headline. Approximately 200,000 deportation cases have been thrown out by immigration judges. So
government workers who are already being paid by our tax dollars are going to have their loans removed by our tax dollars. Isn't that awesome?
That is about 40% of Wyoming. All right, literally the whole state. The state's about 500,000 people. That's right. So
we didn't do it.
That's half of a state now can remain. They didn't file the required notice to appear in court.
Yeah, and Rumble, because you should have seen all the emails I got for last night.
Oh no! You think anybody's going to get arrested for this, or charged with a crime for this, for gross negligence, for causing 200,000 illegals to be here? Approximately 200,000 deportation cases have been thrown out by
I know you are, buddy.
Starting the Biden administration because DHS and Canadian workers hadn't filed the required notice to appear with the court at the time. We were late. Without proper filing, the court lacks jurisdiction. Asylum seekers lack a way to move their cases forward. So these large numbers of dismissals of what happens raise concerns. The report brings DHS's
I know a bunch too.
Lack of notice to appear. So this is like you get charged with DUI, right?
They already lost a bunch of them. They wouldn't.
Don't file the charges. You know that.
They wouldn't take the jab.
A couple times in my career. Boy, they missed something. Holy crap, that's crazy. They missed that refile date. I've had it filed. Like I've had the government just mismanage their calendar, so they'll dismiss a DUI with the intention of refiling it once the blood results come back. And if delay, maybe it's not an alcohol case, it's a drug case, they need to testing, whatever. So then they'll refile. But they'll refile like 3 days late after the 6-month statute of limitations expires.
Yeah, you could tell how hard they were working by all the TikTok dancing videos.
Somebody gets in trouble for that because the criminals now are running free. So this is like happening at a massive scale. This is like in 2022, dismissed cases per month. Right? If you think of every one of these as a criminal case, it's a criminal migrant who's broken a order, criminal invader. Right, that's 6,500 misdemeanors, or 6,500 felonies, or 6,500 DUIs dismissed every month due to incompetence. So they just file. That's all.
Oh, I need a new coil for my vape.
6,000 criminal cases.
Tastes burnt.
Just not happening because the government charged somebody. They got.
And I got to go to UPS, drop something off for the wife.
But they just didn't file the charges. It's totally intentional, obviously, right?
What's this guy doing?
Intentional negligence.
What's this guy doing?
And you're just going to say, well, it's probably those dang Republicans.
Fuck over then, yeah.
Troubling is the lack of transparency on how these failures occur. It's like non-enforcement, right? It's just allowing this to go through just by non-enforcement.
When I did it, I practically did too.
We didn't have time to file them. 200. That's a lot, by the way. Like 200,000 of anything. Pick that up, right? Pick whatever it is you're doing. And so how long? Like, what if I had to do 200,000 shows? That's a lot of shows. You know what I'm saying? So that requires a lot of bandwidth. And
when I did it down in Louisiana, when I moonlighted.
Phoenix, Arizona, how many new cases? 10,000. Just outstanding.
Yeah, I agree. Dirty.
So you're saying he's probably on this list. Alright, so that's that story.
You got to pay him something, man. I didn't make shit as a paramedic.
Says Trump is going to have monster gains with Hispanics, and this is why he should pick someone of color.
I made like $17 an hour, and I was a trainer. It hasn't even gone up. That shit, that was in 1999, 2001.
Yeah, remember that? Remember, they're kind of condescending to us.
I made 17.
They don't know how to really talk to them.
But I was in Ann Arbor. Still, I mean, this shit. Live on that with 2 kids.
I got 2 Mexicans, 2 trans, and a gay. Wow, okay. How nice you got. So here, remember what is Dr. Jill Biden, doctor? She gave that speech about like your culture, your strength. We can sense the strength of the Latinx people.
A lot of it.
Through their breakfast tacos. Remember she said that stupid thing? I'll try to find it.
All the females that were on the job, they always come in looking pretty and everything like that, and then after a couple of years, they get that paramedic butt. Who's sitting in the rig all the time.
Into the international consciousness, his view
and eating and not doing shit, eating crap because you're busy as hell, and so you're just scarfing on garbage.
9 years later, the Democrats still think that attacking Donald Trump on the border is going to get the Hispanic vote. Hispanics are also upset that they are hostile to religion, that they masked up their kids and kept them home for the better part of 2 school years, the economic upward mobility that is being lost to them. So I think Donald Trump's going to have monster gains among Hispanics, and I think it's part of why he should pick a person of color as his VP.
Nice.
And in part because that's what all Americans care
That's what
about.
happens.
Because you don't just shove part of the Americans into a box that the Democrats and this Biden like to draw.
they can't take this vote for granted anymore. And
Yeah, they can't. That's good. Well, because everybody is feeling the pain and the consequence of Joe Biden's terrible policies. Again, it's not really even about color. It's about competent governance. So remember this. Remember Joe Biden said, hey, Latinx people, thanks for your breakfast tacos.
Yeah.
We can't get those things on our own. Raul helped build this organization with the understanding that the diversity of this community
That nurse looked tiny though, didn't she?
as distinct as the Bogotas of the Bronx,
Bogotas.
as beautiful as the blossoms of Miami,
Bogotas.
and as unique as the breakfast tacos here in San Antonio.
Breakfast tacos in San Antonio. Bodegas? Bodegas? Does she mean a bodega? Alright, anyways, let's see who is here. Yeah, breakfast tacos are amazing. All types of tacos are amazing. You know, I mean, how can you go wrong with breakfast tacos? Alright, let's see who is here and in the house.
Most of those RNs are hoes anyway.
It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday. If you're tuning in from the bodega, let us know. Bodega.
It's the law.
Is it breakfast taco Thursday? Is that what it is? Let's get our YouTube friends pinned up on the screen and say hello and good morning. And before we do that, we just have one additional thing that we need to do before we jump into that. Is we gotta listen to this one more time. Is here, says, hola Roberto, ¿cómo estás hoy? Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú? Viva Cuba Libre! In the house, from hers, in the house. Good to see you, hers. Thanks for the nice comment. Digging out some Spanish from the old days. What's going on, Jeremy? Yeah, says the DOJ sues Apple for antitrust today. I think I had that bookmarked somewhere. So we'll see if we get to that. Yeah, it was basically, they said that the iPhone is, a monopoly. And they are suing them, 70% of the market. And I haven't seen the actual, allegation there, but anti-consumer practices, right? So we'll see what that looks like. Jigum's here, says, hola, Senor Gouveia and amigas. Stay watching the watchers. Hola, Ati. Jigum. We got Nicole says, shh, don't tell my boss I'm watching instead of working. We're not going to tell him here. We're not. And he might want to watch though. Maybe invite him. Take a little break. We got this one from Spud, says, artist and activist Unca Scotty Lobido got arrested for feeding the pigeons in New York City. It was a pizza party with no pineapple, normally a ticket offense. I saw this, yeah, so this guy was, I think, protesting in New York and was throwing pizza over over the tower. Just got out of the slammer. I was arrested for feeding the pigeons. Scott Baio. Lobido. So yeah, he got some pizza and he just threw it over the fence there. I saw this on X earlier. And then he gets arrested for that. You know, he's feeding the pigeons. Here, have some pizza. Here, have a slice of pizza. Going arrested.
Yeah, one of my favorite Chris Farley quotes.
He's TikTok famous, this fella? Scott? Patriot artist activist. What was he doing? This was in New York, right? So he was just throwing, you know, here, you want some pizza? It looked like nice pizza, actually. It looked like a nice slice of pie. Of course, he gets arrested. You know, aren't they letting out the guys with the body parts? So you can't throw pizza, but if you have body parts in your freezer, not a big deal in New York. Interesting times. Yeah, you know, yeah, it was really, it looked like a good piece of pizza, right? You're kind of like, that's tough. Like, we hate the government, sure, but we love pizza. So this is a complicated conundrum that we're in. He's cool. Okay, so it sounds good. So I just followed him. That's cool. So I'm going to continue to follow him. I didn't know much about him, but you know, anyone who's throwing pizza at the corrupt government, you know, really is on a mission there. So we'll see. It sounds like he got out pretty quickly. Just got out of the slammer. Good. Arrested for feeding the pigeons. That's a great post. Thank you for that, Spuds. Sadie says, hey, please request your admins to help Goose Toots. Couldn't find where to go. Also, not coming in members listing when you type it in does not populate it either. I've been sending messages in the news feed. Okay, thank you, Sadie. I'll take a look at that. Goose Toots, are you in the house?
Well, Freeman's got a
Hopefully
video
you made
too.
it. Locals can be a little bit wonky sometimes, but hopefully you're in the chat. We got Deanne Elliott says, good morning to all. Good morning to you, Deanne. Very, very beautiful morning indeed. And we got some donos in the house. Thank you for these, gentlemen. Look what we got. T. Lewis. Good to see you, T. Lewis. Good morning. Hello, watchers. Hello, Rob. Hello, T. Lewis. It's a beautiful Thursday. This one from Ravicus says, okay, take a deep breath and understand God is in control, even in this Sodom Gomorrah world. That's true. Absolutely true. Amen to that. Rosie says, hi all, off subject. Just wanted to give a shout out to my 13-year-old daughter, Lucy. Shout out to Lucy, who qualified for states in archery here in Pennsylvania. That's a big deal. Shout out to Lucy. Qualifying for state is a big deal. And I know that because I qualified for state when I was a senior for wrestling. It is a big deal. Would love some prayers for strength that she's getting over a terrible virus that has wiped her out. And the event is tomorrow morning, 4 hours away from us. Thanks, Watcher fam. You got it. Rosie Posey, the Lucy Rosie household. Big energy, big love and support coming your way for a speedy recovery. And you know, sometimes the body's kind of weird like that, like the adrenaline. I used to wrestle, you know, so I was a wrestler in high school. I didn't do archery, but I wrestled. And I did qualify. I broke my back my junior year, so I didn't wrestle my junior year. But I did wrestle my senior year, and I did qualify for state. I didn't place, but I was close. I was like one round. If I would have, you know, gotten the next round, I would have placed. But I had a bad, you know, back injury and all sorts of recovery. That's my excuse. But you know, my point is, I've been sick at different tournaments and things like that. And sometimes your body will just, you know, just spring into action, and you'll get that little rush of energy and support. We're all going to be sending it your way, Lucy. So congratulations on qualifying. We're going to be pulling for you, and we can't wait to hear about this. Thank you, Rosie, and shout out to your family. That sounds awesome. Londo says, what Trump did was awesome. This clown shouldn't be talking out of the wrong place, says Londo. Says K Peso, says Londo. This old guy. Oh, we have a poem here. Or this is Bob Dylan lyrics. Says, a self-ordained professor's tongue, too serious to fool, spouted out that liberty is just equality in school. Equality, I spoke the word as if a wedding vow. Ah, but I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. That's Bob Dylan discussing self-proclaimed experts. Recognize anyone? Yeah, that's most of our establishment, most of those people in positions of power. And I have a total disdain for experts.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Self-appointed experts. You might qualify someone as an expert based on their contributions and their performance, and not even their credentials, because who cares about that, but on what they actually produce, right? The quality of the person. You might say, well, that's an expert in that topic, certainly more so than I am, but The self-proclaimed experts turned out to be plagiarists, liars, cheaters, and thieves. So Bob Dylan was onto something there. Good to see you, this old guy. What's up, Born in the house? K Bean's over there. Good to see you, K Bean. Jennifer. Born says, K Bean, I identify as a jelly bean. Well, if you want to, you know, we'll acknowledge you as jelly bean, as long as that's okay with K Bean. I don't know if this chat's big enough for the beans, for the two beans. What's up, Born? What's up, Ryan B? Queen Bee's Art Hive is here. We got Real Life. Says it's 43 degrees out. It's a heat wave. Oh, it's rough over there, huh? It's getting nice out here in Arizona, man. It's like perfect time before it turns into a scalding cauldron of death. All right, so what else do we have cooking out there? So there were some other clips about Joe, and they're also concerned, it's not just immigration that's a problem. They're also really petrified about RFK, right? So there's like this multiple different fronts of this storm are now percolating, and they've got, you know, Trump, obviously. They've got I'd say the general electoral environment is just not good for Joe. And the economy's not looking good. They say it is, but everybody feels differently. We're in, you know, new conflicts. We have a porous, open, broken border. Everybody realizes it. Kind of feels like his energy is going down. People are recognizing the problems. So they're already facing headwinds, let's say. That's probably the good way to phrase it. Then you've got the Latino problem we just talked about that was not there last time. And you've also got RFK, which is kind of a liberal alternative for Joe Biden. And he just put on he just nominated some vice presidential candidate. I don't know her name, Shannon something. I don't think people really know much about her other than she made her money from divorcing one of those Google guys and then just contributes to a bunch of liberal lefty causes. So in other words, like she might, you know, be a lefty anchor to pull people over to RFK, which would be not something that the Biden campaign would be too happy about. So they're nervous about that. That's another problem. You know, I think they're concerned it's going to take more away from Joe than from Trump.
And science and all sorts of other things.
Right.
But I will say, Mika, I was nodding along as Tom was just talking. I think
She was
this
nodding
is
out.
the biggest challenge. There is unquestionably, Trump has a broad support in his base, as we've just been discussing, and we've seen that play out in the primary. That's the only piece, though, we know at this point. He has problems among independents and problems with an expanded electorate. But these third-party candidates are a huge, huge, huge problem, and there's a number of them. If you look at RFK Jr., it's the name recognition issue, as Tom was just talking about. And there are
just dropped another video. Midwest did.
Georgia is one of them, I will name, where the Kennedy name is beloved, right? Where people may just not where they may just not know a lot about the fact that he is an anti-vaxxer who's a conspiracy theorist. They don't know that yet.
What's wrong,
so this
Jen?
is something, there is an aggressive
nervous?
effort that the campaign has been working with the Democratic National Committee on to run on this, but it needs to be broad. People need to be shouting it from the rooftops, because this is one of the biggest threats to
I got my nails did.
Is these
I got some
if you look at Michigan,
juice in a coil.
Alyssa Slotkin is going to be on later. I almost called her senator. Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin is going to be on later. Michigan is a state where RFK, I think, is polling at 10%.
Wow.
Right? And so this is a place where
Cornell
Joe
West.
Biden needs to win. And RFK Jr. is making a real threat to that. So it's good we're talking about it. It is a real threat. They're aware of it, but more needs to be done and more people need to be talking about it and aware.
All right, so that means that RFK Jr. is going to come into the crosshairs and they'll start focusing some of their efforts on him. You know, because 10%, where's that coming from? Is that coming from the Trump people? I mean, maybe there's the split on the jab, right? Maybe there's some people who say, you know, I can't, you know, Trump's unforgivable on that position. And maybe they'll go over with RFK. But I got to imagine that it's a bigger pull from Joe, because people are disaffected with him, right? More people, I think, want to go vote for Trump. People are begrudgingly voting for Biden, and if they have a reasonable alternative, why wouldn't they not just throw their vote to him? Especially, as Jen pointed out, his name recognition. They just, it's just a candidate, right? Just a candidate. So that's a problem for them. We also
drive to UPS store, Monroe.
Democrat super lawyer, and they're freaked out about this too, because the RNC is now now filing some actions and trying to get involved in some lawfare. I think that they're still way far behind what the Democrats, the infrastructure that they have in place. But still, they're now saying that the Republicans are going to be, threatening the elections, right? This is another institutional attack
the biggest
that they're
threat
concerned
to
about.
democracy and free and fair elections this fall is what I have called election vigilantism by conservatives and Republicans.
What is that?
What do I mean by that? Well, we saw it in the run-up to 2022, where you saw conservatives with flak jackets and body armor, with video cameras, staking out drop boxes in Maricopa County, trying to intimidate people simply to return their ballots. We saw unprecedented levels of
they're just making sure one person wasn't stuffing fucking 50 ballots.
To try to prevent
100 ballots.
lawful people from being able to be registered and vote. We saw 364,000 Georgians challenged in the 2021 election and another 100,000 challenged last year. We have seen these kinds of widespread efforts to try to intimidate election officials and intimidate voters and to try to dissuade them from voting, because that is the Republican playbook, and it is upon all of our responsibilities to fight back against that this fall.
Yeah, so if the Republicans fight back, it's Republican vigilantism, right? The framing of that is that they are monsters trying to undermine American democracy. But that is literally what they do, right? The entire democracy docket, he even has his little coffee mug over here, that's what that organization does, right? They just file lawsuits, and we've referenced them many times. So they file lawsuits. They were responsible for changing a lot of the elections after COVID. And they were transmogrifying those laws because of emergency. And they're getting nervous, but again, they have a lot of power. They have a lot of money as well. There was this clip where they were talking about Afghanistan, saying, okay, Joe Biden's got an immigration problem. He's got a Latino problem. He has an economy problem. He's also got this multiple world war problem. So, don't know if you saw this, but I mean, the Taiwan situation, I think, is getting pretty spicy over there. This was over from Barron's. It says 32 Chinese warplanes were detected around Taiwan. So, in the 24 hours leading up to 6 a.m. Thursday, the Ministry of National Defense detected 5 naval ships around Taiwan. 20 of the aircraft crossed the line of the Taiwan Strait. And there was some other article that apparently the U.S., right, has some troops right there on the Taiwanese side. Taiwan detected a record 8 Chinese balloons on 2 consecutive days during the Lunar New Year last month. Some flew directly over the island.
That's crazy.
Beijing has ramped up military pressure in recent years.
How is he losing everything?
Planes and naval vessels on a near daily basis, with balloons increasingly flying over the island as well. And there were more reports on this, that apparently there were U.S. troops on the Chinese border. This was this story. World on the Brink posted yesterday, as Taiwan admits U.S. troops are now stationed on the Chinese border. Their American troops are to be permanently stationed in Taiwan, according to Taipei. A huge move that will likely send tensions with China soaring as President Xi covets the island. Now, Taiwan has officially confirmed the presence of U.S. troops stationed in the islands in the Taiwan Strait permanently. Could further mount escalations. The National Defense Authorization passed in 2023 for deployment of these troops. Now, Blinken this week issued an ironclad warning to China. Yeah, right. Blinken? Yeah, okay. Closer to home, a new poll found that Biden and Trump are neck and neck. And in response to questions about this, the Taiwanese defense chief said, no matter the situation, there may be blind spots or shortcomings. So we need to communicate with our allies. Former president, other reports say that the presence is northwest on Taiwan's main island, and so on. So, all right, anyway, so the point is, all right, the world seems a little bit in a more precarious position than it was back when Trump was in charge. Here's CNN talking a little bit about that. If this will play.
There was a hearing on the Hill yesterday. We showed like a salty minute from it, but we didn't talk about the substance around Afghanistan. And you mentioned policy. We heard from General Mark Milley and another general who were involved, overseeing the military during that pullout. I know you're on the committee that dealt with that. What did you learn yesterday, if anything, and what lessons are there in terms of making sure some of those mistakes never happen again?
Well, look, one of the things that both General McKenzie, the former CENTCOM commander, and Chairman Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, have made clear is that their advisory was not what actually took place. And in fact, that President Biden had gone against their advisory. Their advisory was to leave 2,500 in place to be able to maintain Bagram Air Base, which would not have resulted in the release of the Bagram prisons, which is where the suicide bomber actually had originated from that cost the lives of 13 brave heroes. But I think that what we also looked at is putting political optics above military strategy is not exactly the best idea. Looking at who can actually, from a policy perspective, maintain the command and control on the ground when it comes to conducting a NEO, I think that's really something that it's a non-combatant evacuation operation. So this is where we would basically draw down. I mean, think the fall of Saigon, think the helicopters coming on the rooftop of Afghanistan, etc. These are the things where there's a bit of a shift on who maintains command and control. Is it the ambassador? Is it the State Department? Is it the Department of Defense? And so really drawing a new policy thing, which is what kind of Chairman Milley had brought up, which is a great point, on who actually leads that command and control structure, I think is a real key issue, because I do put a lot of fault on the State Department in this and their failures, because they acted way too slowly. And even Chairman Milley and McKenzie had said that they should have conducted this NEO weeks and weeks ago, but the ambassador there had refused, even though there was 23 diplomats who had wrote a dissent cable saying, if you do what you're about to do, you're going to get people killed, you're going to leave Americans behind. So they were well warned, both at the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State level.
You remember that? I mean, that was a whole catastrophe. And that was just not that long ago. That was on Joe Biden's watch. So interesting stories there, my friends. Let's see who is joining us. See if we got some comments in the house. We got Holy F's here. We got Huajala Talachik in the house. We got Real Life. Good to see you. The Sentinel's here. David K. Bean says, I'll never forget it. That was a wild. It was like, what is happening? There were people hanging on to the aircraft, as the plane was taking off. It's absolutely insane. What's going on? Vientikis is here. Let's see what we got. What's up, Eric with a K? Says, appreciate you and your channel, Rob. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you being here, my friend. Thank you for that. Yeah, we got Troublemaker Jonas says, Biden's noun from Latin America for sacrifice. Also, Biden has 2 teeth. V says, whoa, so this was unexpected. V, you're up. Whoa, look at the sales rank on that one, 134. So that sounds like great to me, right? I think that's pretty amazing.
I'll be right back. I gotta ship something off for the wife.
I would imagine Barnes & Nobles has, a couple thousand books in there. So it's pretty good numbers, I'd say. Congratulations, V. That's awesome, man. Super proud of you, man. That's amazing. To be able to publish books and sell books. Awesome. Super cool. We got Noka in the house. Says,
Resume, yes. What happened here?
That's exactly house. Think of it like a big, ranch style house, or some big, beautiful houses for sure. But then, like, half of it would be dilapidated and falling apart, and the other half of, like, your house, like a regular house, just pick a house, like, not connected to a bunch, like, not in a big city, like almost like this house, like right here in this picture, but like, let's say it was like bigger, so it had like, another side to it. You would see that in Cuba, like, half the house would be well maintained and livable, and the other half would just like fall apart. And like, why would that happen? Like, how could that happen? Clearly somebody cares about it. Well, it was because at one point the government just started to allow people to just like take over rooms, like not the whole house, but like rooms. You have a room over there, so that's theirs. Like, if they can fit there, it's theirs. And you're like, what? And so the people would just like stop caring for their portion of the house, and the freeloaders would just come in, and that side of the house would just fall apart. And it was all over Cuba, and it was the weirdest thing, right? It kind of shows you what property rights do. People who don't have property rights would just let the crap, their side of the building turn to crap. But the people who do have the property rights, or I think it was down there, it was like a lease or whatever, but they maintained it, they cared for it. And you could see the same pattern almost like black and white throughout the entire country. It was fascinating. And we would get up on, tall buildings and look down, and you could see the split, where people would just say, when you see people who like mow the grass, but they're like, I'm not mowing 1 foot into that neighbor's yard. So they're like the grass like just stopped. They're like, this is my yard, and I don't give a crap what happens on the other side of this line. It was like that, but all over the whole country. It was bizarre. Anyways, this guy is telling people how to invade and how to take over homes. So we might be there soon enough. Shade says, people talk about the two sides, like reps and Republicans and Dems, but there are many more that don't vote at all. No idea how many, but it is a very large part of America also. The left is freaking out, but nothing like what is coming. Please prepare for anything, anywhere, anytime. There will be extreme temper tantrums via the left, even after Trump is back in office. 100%. I mean, they had planned riots and a whole challenge that they were planning if Trump won. Like, there was going to be a major insurrection last time if Trump won, or if he was allowed to win. But I would imagine that they're planning for that again. Dr. Doolittle says, I agree about Trump's position on the jab. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to reverse course on that. Ryan PD, says, as Robert Barnes says, confession through projection. What they accuse you of is what they're actually doing. The word actually means animal for sacrifice, as in your Bidens to Thor. I'm not even sure what that means, Jonah Ryan, but we're not hopefully talking about sacrificing anything. Neuro says Trump should just admit he was misled on the jab. He's not. I don't think he's going to do that. Trump never does that. Trump lives in the world of the power of positive thinking, and we just kind of keep marching on. Yeah, I saw this. This was a post. Apparently they changed the definition of bloodbath. Sunday, it was a ruthless slaughter of a great number of people, a massacre. By Thursday, what happened to the definition? Bloodbath is the plural of bloodbaths. An event or situation in which many people are killed in a violent manner. He allowed the protest to go ahead despite warnings that it would spark a bloodbath. So they changed it into a protest type of word. Okay. Funny. Yeah, Nunya Bitness says Trump will never admit to any failure. I think that's right. And I think that's part of his software in his brain. What's up? We got this one from Troublemaker. Biden's is a noun. I see what you're saying now. I finally got it. We got Liquid Rock. We've got Neurodivergent. Mini Wheat says that illegal kid also has a video of him explaining to other illegals on how to get free living in the U.S. He said he has his daughter in the U.S. and now he's living off her because the government is paying for their housing, food, giving them $1,500 a month. It's infuriating for those who work hard. Yeah, how is that sustainable? I mean, it's not, right? So there will be...
Who can actually live on $1,500 a month?
Something that breaks, for sure. What's up? I don't think YouTube was blocking. I was just on the wrong chat, unfortunately. Well, I was on top chat, not live chat. My bad, my apologies. Okay, so also today, my friends, we have apparently Congress is in session today. And
yeah, there's a nursing home across the street. He's out there almost every day.
And so let's see what C-SPAN has
almost
for us,
every day.
because there was some activity in Congress today. Here is what we've got cooking. The Senate is in session, and I believe they were considering a spending bill today.
All right, guys.
The House is in session.
We may have desktop, I don't know.
Now as well.
We got a bunch of shit
And
to
let's
do.
see what they're up to.
Bunch of shit I did yesterday didn't work out.
Like what
as
would
usual.
happen with the carbon tax, which
Later.
we're seeing
Love you guys. Thanks for
around
hanging
the
out.
world moving in this direction. There are two basic